go. Okay, so I guess we'll get started. It's 11:05. If people come in a bit later, we are going to start with a little background information and a poll. So that gives people a little bit of time to finish up that coffee and get over here. I want to welcome everybody and thank Vincent for offering to share with us his insights and knowledge about Lextutor and HyperEnglish. This is the second in the third of our series Teach a Tool between the Corpus Informed Research and Teaching interest group and the Technology Enhanced Language Learning interest group of CIRT. We will have a third one that will be hosted by Nicole Brun-Mercer, and it will focus on AntConc and creating corpora. I want to also thank Lily, who's here, for having done the earlier one on COCA, which is available at the CIRT website. So I am now, as I promised, a short introduction. I'm going to hand the proverbial microphone over to Vincent, and you're in charge.
Thank you all. Thank you so much, Margie, and we'll get going. Margie is going to help me with the quiz that we mentioned, but let's go. This is the agenda, and it is movable. We can move it around depending on who's in the room, because I am trying to address the sort of idea that none of you, or maybe not all of you, have a sense of what corpora are, why they're important, and even how they relate to word lists, for example. So that's the quiz that we're about to take. The concepts I won't spend too much time on, because this is more of a practically focused workshop. Lextutor is our main event. It is a centerpiece of a lot of I would wager maybe all of you know what Lextutor is, or you spent time on there. I may be wrong. That would maybe be another question to ask. But as we transition towards the end of the presentation, I may have a scenario that we can just dispense with depending on time. It's trying to be flexible. So again, in the spirit of who's here, I'm the presenter. I should explain that I've been teaching for over 17 years. I really enjoy technology. I've used it in a lot of ways. Cobb got me, in addition to other folks, interested in the idea that as a teacher, I can teach myself how to program, at least enough to do something useful for my students. So that's part of what is going on here. Cobb excites me to keep pushing what I think is possible in this area, or at least in the very small corner of it.
That's Tom Cobb, right? Who is the Lextutor creator? Yes,
Tom Cobb. I have his full name out later. It's like creator of Lextutor, complete lexical tutor out of Canada. So this is the introduction stage. I haven't been watching, nor will I sort of get an opportunity probably to look through the chat, but basically the idea of your teaching context. So if you have a couple of moments, I'm going to keep going, but this is not just for me, this is for one another, because when we do get to a breakout activity, you might be interested to sort of think about, oh, I remember this person is from such and such area. So here's the quiz. Let's go. Again, the idea is to set a baseline and also just to have a little fun, get going, get our Zoom working for us. So the first question is out and available. So we're just going to put this forward. Good. And I don't know, I think can everyone see the results as they're coming in? Nodding.
No, I think I have to close the poll, but I will end it as soon as I get.
I can see the results too. So it looks like we only have one person who hasn't taken it. So I think that's probably enough. Good. So there are the results. Half and half. Very good. Well, half of you need to go back and check out the video, is what I will say. Let's go. Next one is question number 2. How about this one? It's not quite a yes or no. It's more like a absolutely I can tell you all about where my favorite word list came from, like your choice of the Oxford 3000, the Oxford 5,000 or your AWL, for example, where did they come from? How easily could you explain to someone, well,
The poll feature is giving me a little bit of a problem here with
pushback?
something with the way it's set up on the CTESOL site. So go
Yeah.
ahead and just for now,
Yeah.
go ahead and put your results, your answer to the second question in the chat.
Oh, thank you
I'll
for
go ahead
making
and
the technology
start
happen.
with the third question. Okay.
Okay, so again, the can you explain how word lists are created? You could just give us a yes or a no. So Amber is the answer. I see no, I see a yes, I see a no. We're going to keep it to yes, no. That's absolutely fine. And we got 3, maybe we could get 4 answers. All right, that's probably pretty good. All right, let's go on with our third question here. Maybe like that. Have you used Lextutor before? Okay, this is the one. My marbles are on yes. Let's see. Which one?
Guys, we're just going with the chat because the way it's set up is very
yeah, don't
strange.
worry, guys.
So just go with the chat.
Absolutely.
Sorry about that.
No. Contingency is in place. I just hope that my computer is doing okay. Can everybody hear me all right? Okay, good. I got a nod. I'm just going to see if my computer is telling me that its memory is running out. Nope, it seems okay. That's what I get for an older machine. Okay.
Sorry that we've lost our anonymity here, but we're all nice to each other, so we won't be
exactly.
picking on you.
That's right. That's
you needn't lie about your background knowledge. It's okay.
And that's, by the way, I really love being in this situation because any tendency I might have towards stretching the truth, I've got folks here that I know more than me, so I'm not going to go there. Okay, here we go. How familiar are you with word frequency as part of a word? How about that one? Again, if we had the multiple choice, I'd kind of make it fun for you. Oh yeah, it's like, of course, that's like super duper.
Right.
Important.
He had great possible answers here. Here, I'll read.
How about a scale of 1 to 10?
1 to 10, let's do it. 10 means you're a genius with word frequency. And 1, it's sort of like, don't hit me with that word frequency stick.
What? Yeah, what's
maybe more of an effective thing. Yeah,
I don't think
8.547.
I don't think he means word families, Diana. I think he, if you're unfamiliar with what word frequency is referring to, then just go ahead and give yourself, I'm not exactly sure I understand the question. And that's absolutely okay. And I like that Joseph is 4.7. I like that. Yeah. Or is that your answer to question 4?
Well, 8.5 has caught my eye too. Yeah, so the last question, and again, this was all kind of intended to be tongue in cheek, but this crowd, I may not be surprised if I get some serious answers here for number 5 coming up. Number 5. Dun dun dun. I'm not sure. Can I pronounce this gentleman's name? Are you a big fan of Zipf's Law? It's like, who's that? Huh? Okay, good. I like that. At least I have a little something to share later on.
Okay.
Okay, look, this again was just meant to get us moving. We're 2 minutes ahead of schedule. I don't think that'll last, but I am ready to go. So again, this was just not sure if I am a fan. Okay, so now this is the slide where I talk at you, but again, we're a small group and I don't know, I have a healthy enough ego. If anybody needs to interrupt or if something happens and the microphone breaks, please just interrupt me, let me know. This is the slide where I have multiple bullets. I'm going to go through one by one and we're gonna see connections, I hope.
And I just want to say that I am watching the chat and the participants. So we saw that we had a range of people. So if you do have a question and you don't want to interrupt Vincent, you'll note I just did that without any problem. Feel free to just raise your hand electronically and I'll make sure that you get a chance to check in. Okay, I took up your 2 extra minutes. Go.
No, this is free flowing. And just because you did that, I'm going to put you on the spot. This is your birthday. Happy birthday. So there
Thank you.
There you go. We'll have to sing you happy birthday at the end. Okay.
Oh,
so
Zoom, happy birthday on Zoom is really horrid.
don't
do
very
it.
sad. Okay, well, we had to sneak it in. It's now permanently in the record, the official record. Okay, so look, corpora are, if you did not get our last presentation, our last workshop in, basically they are databases full of text, and then you do things with them. Corpus is a body, so a body of text. And that's not what we're here for today. We have people who are excellent at research, and part of what they do is they improve those corpora. And that's not our business, but just trust me, they do a lot of hard work behind the scenes to make that happen. Now, this is where I will kind of step in and I will say, all right, well, what can I do with your corpus, right? What can I do with this wonderful thing that you keep on saying is not yet perfect, not yet perfect. You want to make it better? Okay. But can I use it now? Yes, we can. We can pull out of these corpora frequency lists, and we'll talk about this, what this idea is. Another word we'll use is band. Another word is bin. Basically, you're gonna hear me and you're gonna see references to K, right? So K standing, if it's for kilo, it basically means 1,000. So we're going to take a lot of words that computers have been working with for dozens and dozens of years with these researchers, driving them. And we're going to think about them more simply by putting them into, bands or bins of 1,000 each. Okay. Computers then will make use of this in a situation of tables. Like, for example, if the most common word in a corpus is the definite article the, you would reference that with the number 1. So a lookup table, the computer knows, okay, I see this, I'm going to go and get this other information, maybe part of speech, maybe other references to, we'll talk about word families. Okay, what we are going to, though, really drill down on in this kind of introduction to concepts is the efficiency of lists. And we'll think of that in terms of coverage. And I have some visuals that'll help explain this. So I'm not gonna hit you over the head with bullets right now. I'm also not going to go into what are really very interesting questions. I have 2 primary questions and 2 kind of subordinate questions. I'm not even going to kind of read them. They're on the screen, but basically, as you get further into this subject matter, you're going to have to deal with the boundaries of what you mean when you talk about knowing a word. But most importantly, how we work with, sorry, catching attention with the text here. So we're going to get into that, David, talking about how, Lextutor is going to relate to maybe updates as we learn more how to improve lists. So we'll get to that. Because basically, even though I pay homage to research, that's not what we're doing here. We're getting beyond the research because we don't want to be held back by that situation of the perfect being the enemy of the good enough, right? We want to use these things, and that's our outcome. We want to get these into your hands as teachers. If some of you are much more research and focused, concept focused, I'm glad to carry that conversation offline because I want to learn from you. Let's get these visuals up, as I mentioned. I actually have a quote from Tom Cobb that I want to sort of put you in mind of right now. First, looking at this table, I'm going to ask you to take my word for it. These bands, these frequency bands, represent how much bang for your buck you get as a learner. If you have really done well and learned all of this group of 1,000, 1,000 word families is what I'm going to say. It's not individual words. It's not a list of 1,000 words. It's a longer list than that. But basically, these are the derivatives. If you have cat and you have cats, These are going to basically be in the same family, but caterwaul is not. So you're going to have patience with what it means to split these apart from one another. What's really important, though, is that column on the right, which is the cumulative effect. And well, you can see that when we get past the 1,000 level, we're not getting as much return on the investment of time, or our learners are not, but we're creeping up. We're getting to where we want to be. Say by 95%, we're in a good situation. We're going to come back again to this summative quote from Cobb that helps think of it again. What is the situation we're talking about? We're talking about learners having success reading. We want to promote that. We want to help our students engage with texts, not only word lists, but I'll make one other note. This is from a paper by Schmidt and Schmidt, the visuals that I have for you here. This is a reference. We're going to have two more references to Zipf's law. This is actually I'll forget the name, but it's a very classic shape in social sciences. Is it a power curve, maybe? But again, not to go into statistics, because I would not be the one to lead you there. But again, it shows you the same thing we were looking at that table. Here, it actually kind of adds another nuance of the difference between written and spoken is similar. And I like your image there, David. You're helping feed me get off my own track here. It looks like a cliff. Okay. Although maybe it's sort of like you're on the mountain and you've climbed the mountain somehow, and then you're progressing in life, and it's like, where's the benefit? What am I doing this for? This is something, though, that brings up a term that we'll talk about more. Is this middle area, mid-frequency vocabulary? Again, if you look back at that table between 3,000 and 9,000, we're talking about moving from about a frequency band of 3 over all the way to the rest of that chart. If we go back here, we're moving from 89.4% cumulative. Cumulative what? I may not have explained that, but the idea is the average text. Let's get to our man. We'll come back to these examples. We'll come back to Cobb now. As a rule of thumb, learners cannot do much with a text whose words they know fewer than 90% of. And full comprehension requires about 98%. So what are the implications of that? That's what he teases apart here, I think, very usefully. From 90 to 95% known words, a text can be used intensively for dictionary work, contextual inference, rereading, really hitting it, okay? That's not the only mode of reading that we want our students to experience. So then he talks about another step in this sort of, again, research-based delineation, 95 to 98%. So just jumping back again, 95 to 98% doesn't happen until about the 8,000 word level. And again, think of these levels or these bands as the knowledge base that your students have acquired. So as we fall off the cliff, we want to get all the way down to the ground, but we haven't gotten to the ground yet. So we don't have traction. Maybe we're walking on air, right? Here, let's look at some of these examples from the 3,000 to 9,000 band. 3,000, words like academic, consist, exploit, rapid vocabulary. Let's move to the middle. 6,000, axis, comprehension, peripheral, sinister, taper. But then even further out in what we would call lower frequency, anthropology, fruitful, hypothesis, semester, and virulent. And actually, if I may, one more digression. If you notice a word like hypothesis or a word like semester, they will be in your students' vocabulary in higher education contexts. And this is actually something that Norbert Schmidt has really moved the needle on by releasing some recent lists that point to where students are likely to be coming from in terms of their knowledge base. What we're talking about here, these frequency lists, these are the objective targets that students are moving towards. And Margie is providing some helpful context there. I'm going to keep just wrapping up Cobb's quote here. So again, from the middle, from 95 to about 98%, it can be read for meaning. The text can be read for meaning by the student with resources, or read fast enough to be used for fluency building. Okay, anybody remembers their crashing or so on. We're basically wanting to give our students good fortune in their encounter with text. Above 98%, the text can be used for reading to learn rather than learning to read, with minimal lookups or deflections of attention from language to meaning. So this, of course, is a really challenging dilemma for our students, especially maybe academically oriented outside of contexts that are English speaking, because they have this additional challenge of needing these mid frequencies to support them as they deal with other work. So let's get ready. We're going to go into Lextutor now. This, by the way, is the link, but I'm going to show you, if you're interested in this quote, and I'm going to show you how we pull it up. We'll get to it. So this is my tagline for Lextutor. This guy is amazing. He's basically democratized this kind of work, I would say. I'm not a researcher, but I feel included in the community that has this, interest, and it's exciting for me. I hope I don't lose my membership card to the organization as a consequence of our presentation today. But the point is, I have spent a good amount of time on the site. It's inspired me, so I've taken concepts and run with them. But here's the kind of summative statement of what this website is. If you haven't been to it, it's a toolbox, an archive, and an active laboratory. So, I'm going to go to it now. If there's anything that I need to check in, hey, Joseph, thank you very much. We're going to, we can go there too. Thank you for pulling it up, but we are going to, let me just point out one more thing about zip. For those of you who are, again, good statistical wonks. So we're going to go test out this thing that if you have this, let me switch over. I have to change my windows here. Pardon me. If you have this interest, I applaud you, because I would really myself really appreciate knowing more about the talking about tools, statistics of figuring this these distinctions out. So I tell you what, let's go to match learners. I'm going to skip zip. It's just well, I will say briefly that in terms of what Cobb is providing, it's not a beautiful web page, and he will be the first one to say that. Is a huge range of knowledge available, but how do you find it? In fact, if we look at it can be off-putting, exactly. And I agree, Margie is suggesting that, look, find something you like and stick with it, and then come back for more. And as we were saying earlier, the web page changes constantly. It will not look like this when Russia is kicked out of Ukraine, for example. But there you go. Let me go back, because there was one thing I wanted to remember. I think the word was rule of. So up here in the upper right corner, I'm just tapping in, this. So search the site. What are you searching the site for? Research. So I'll click that, and there it is. This is a great little piece that goes into even more depth. Here's the quote that I was, let's see, the rule of, let me find it again. Rule, yeah, down here, right? So this is the quote that I just gave you. And this, by the way, allows me to do one more thing here before we get into an activity ourselves. Here's this wonderful discussion about basically a core methodology that Cobb presents to us, which is, okay, look, we got these great tools that tell us about, well, we've got this great sort of research that tells us that if students don't have not achieved rather this, vocabulary size, right? Let's call it 9,000. the 9,000 vocabulary size, and you give them a text that is 14,000, right? Or maybe we step back further down. Maybe they just have their 1,000 or 2,000, vocabulary families pretty well under their belt. And you give them something that's, in other words, their I+2, beyond comprehensible input sort of materials. It's going to be discouraging. So though he's got basically this formula that you can explore. So let me just reconnect with my presentation here, because I know I wanted to, this is exactly what you were saying, Margie. I was going to say the same thing. So that navigation can be off-putting, and that's my job. I'm trying to get you past that. So the first thing, of course, in our age of Google, just search for it. Search for Zipf's law, search for word families, search for lemmas. Boy, that's a good one. I still can't wrap my head around lemmas. He almost likes to hide things, honestly. So you really have to be patient with his sense there. But let's get into it. I would like us to let me see what our group is. How are we doing for time? I think we're doing fine. I think I can sort of try and bring it down a bit now and try and get us into an activity. I'd like us to do an activity. Let me demonstrate it first. This is the educator frequency sense. I'm going to go back and I'll show you where this is living. Okay, I know it's kind of funny how I've got my window set up, but I don't have a quick toggle. So let's go back. Let's go back and let's bring it back to 100. All right, I need to make the window a little bit bigger. He's, I like his coding style. It's pretty wonky. If you notice up in the upper left, he's showing us here in the screen, your website's, the geometry of your web browser isn't exactly what it should be. So that's what I'm doing right now, so we can best display it. Okay, I want us to take a moment. I've been saying word frequency, frequency, frequency. Let's actually get into the importance of that. I've clicked on frequency, and you can always find his breadcrumb trail in the upper left. And I'm going to go to this frequency trainer game. Frequency trainer game to test frequency awareness. And I'm going to invite you all to do this as well. If you like, you can do this right now while I'm doing this, or you can do it after I do it, just to get a sense. But I am going to open up in another tab that some research, if I can. He sometimes does these in a way that requires just a click, because he puts them out in a separate window. Yeah, okay. I'm going to have to, 1 second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open another tab myself, and I've got the URL now. Okay, so McCrosty actually is who came up with this, but let me make this point. The reason this is important, again, if you think about that mid-range, the question is, how much of a guide, how reliable are we ourselves in helping students effectively prioritize their word learning? Because I did not state it, but I hope you would understand the idea of those more common, those high frequency words are the students' first best friends, right? You want them to prioritize that learning before they run off and assume that if they only study, words that sound or seem academic, that they'll take care of everything they need to know, especially in spoken language. But the distinctions are here, and a couple of examples. We won't read the whole article, but here's the idea. What is good performance on this quiz? So basically, I'll show you. If I can get back to it. Oh, that was a little JavaScript. Here we go. I'm going to click 10. I'm going to go with Coca. We know Coca. And I'm going to build my quiz. I'm going to have to kind of smooch it down a little bit. Okay, so here we go. I'm doing well, there we go. It's a little easier to see now. Overview, SAC, Mormon, Steam, Gates. What I'm going to do is I'm going to eyeball these. Overview, to me, I'm thinking there. Okay, and you see these numbers again, these Ks. SAC, you know what? I'm actually going to put it there. Oh no, I don't think that's very common. So this is my think aloud here, not very sophisticated. I'm not going to try and conjure up my schema, right? My sort of notions of steam. Yeah, probably very common. Stint, I don't know. Oh no, not that. I'm going to say, oh, it could be there. It's going to tell me if I'm right or wrong. Precipitate could be, oh no, and district maybe. Okay, so come down here, check. Not too bad, so 70. So I'm doing well if I can resolve my final 3 in the next 2 rounds. The real interest is in, do I go in the right direction, right? You know, do I take the words that I've missed and do I nudge them into a higher frequency or lower frequency, you know, context in my mind? Okay, so here we go. All right, number 2 is wrong. So, ooh, boy, I don't know. I almost feel like it's not. Yeah, well, okay, this is 3 to 5. Steam, I'm still reluctant to give that much. And then here, I just don't even know this word. Ceylon tea? No, oolong tea. Okay, here we go, check.
Just to note that the numbers don't physically line up with the.
Did I get my numbers wrong? Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I undid some of my good work. Number 3, Mormon. Okay, well, I kind of blew my example. I thought I was doing great. 4, steam, and I just don't even remember. I probably undid this, you guys. I apologize. So maybe that was, too bad. 90. So even though I came this close, even though I created a problem for myself. Number 4. Okay, check. Oh, and it's because it was here. All right. Yay. So all correct in 5 tries, but you do it this time and make sure, yeah, thank you. Make sure this time that you don't make my mistake. And
why don't you put that link in the chat?
That's what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
Hey, Marcia.
You beat me to it, Marcia. I was about to do that.
You don't have to go into a breakout for this, but basically, if I was going to do a poll, I would get the anonymous sense of, hey, how are you doing? How's your frequency sense? Or what was your score? Remember, what you're trying for is to get this within 3 rounds. And let's give it 5 minutes.
Right, you have 2 different corpuses to choose from, B and C.
That's right.
And
Good spot. So I would recommend here in this North American English context, the second one, Coca.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
and Lily brings up a really good question. Is there also something that talks about, I guess, frequency of certain grammatical constructions? And I guess that would be difficult in terms of context as well, but does something like that exist?
There is a really, really lovely, but at the same time, almost too deep for me anyhow, exploration of how, you can use the descriptive rather than the proscriptive approach to grammar modeling in comp. So yeah, I'll be glad to point that out to you. Got it in 2. Woo, David. That's where we want to be.
But it's also interesting to think about it in terms of what you're teaching, because, we always think that it should be X, Y, and Z word, but we really do want to think about what, what our students already know, what they need to know, etc.
Yeah.
Hi, Sophia.
And what's interesting to me too is just the sort of cumulative effect of whether or not this is objectively true, right? It's like if I get something wrong, and like the word steam or the word Mormon is objectively more or less frequent. What are the over time micro cumulative consequences of that for students?
Also, I just wanted to reiterate. I think the generally what you're saying is true, and it's always applicable, but it's always going to depend on the task at hand. Whether it's a specific kind of class in a specific field, or if it's general like ESL. What level, and what the ultimate goal of the class is.
Of course, yeah, frequency isn't everything. That context is going to play a huge role. The context, the students, the target uses, and backgrounds, etc. But and I think that we'll see in just a second some other ways that you can use Lextutor to look at the actual text that you're using in a class, which some of you may be familiar with. But yes, frequency is just one thing to think about. It's not the be all and end all.
I mean, coming to a workshop like this is always good for me, because I find that I'm the texts that I'm giving my students sometimes creep up and up and up in difficulty. And like right now I'm just thinking, oh my God, I can't believe I gave my students, this is a high advanced reading vocabulary class at College of Marin.
Yeah.
But I think I shot too high. I gave them Fast Food Nation to read, and they're getting a lot out of it. But I think they're far below the 95%.
Yeah, no, but that's a really, I think, common situation to be in. And I think it behooves us to come up with strategies so that we can take the pressure off of students and yet help them become successful in those, unfortunately, I+2 situations. And I submit, and this is my approach with HyperEnglish, that we'll get to as much as we do, but we look for a kind of social emotional learning value in how we guide them to help one another. Because even though one might be overwhelmed in one corner of the text, different persons, especially older persons, have more experience to bring to bear. But thank you very much, you guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Is there anything else? Oh, Sophia, sorry you have to go. But if there's any experience that you had that you'd like to share, otherwise, please do. Otherwise, we'll go on. And actually, Margie, I know what you're referring to. And look, this presentation can go in a lot of different ways, but I do want to make sure we do this next activity. Oh, sorry, we're already here. Oh, and by the way, you could do this if you wanted to with your colleagues. You could, what is it called? Do a kind of PD to raise your conversation to this space. But let's go on with, in order to get there though, we need to try and realize Cobb's full approach. So remember, the full approach is we have to have a picture of the text, which we'll get, and that's this wonderful vocabulary profiler that the site actually builds off of Paul Nation, Tom Cobb Paul Nation, in terms of what we'll see there. But we need to understand how to implement testing as well. And testing is very interesting, as we'll see. And it's this great approach that moves beyond multiple choice. So let me take you back to the website. This one we'll go a little deeper on. This first one was just to kind of get our whistle wet, but also to, of course, make that claim that this is important. All right, testing over here on the right. Testing. No, there's no real organization of how this works. Oh, I'm sorry, it's the randomization. Sorry, that doesn't tell you, does it, what it is? Random. I apologize. It's the complete randomizer. Get a load of this. And of course, you can follow along if you wish. But I apologize once again. Where is my link? It's easy to get lost too. Okay, no, this is where it is. Randomized selection from corpus-based word lists. Now remember, what we need to do is establish what do our students know? How big is their vocabulary? And Cobb elsewhere, he gives us kind of, again, rule of thumb. Let's imagine beginners. We want to test them with levels 1, 2, 3, K, 1, 2, 3, or 1K, 2K, I forget how we do it. And then intermediate, 3, 4, 5, and yes, advanced 6, 7, 7, 8, 9. Is that? I lost track. But I'm going to choose again a COCO. This you can experiment with any of these. The nuclear is a new approach he's taking that reduces the vocabulary in such a way that you focus more on the head words than on other forms within the lemmas. Okay, but that gets a little bit beyond me. I'm going to choose Rand words B and C COCA. Okay, and here it gives you all the instructions you need. Again, the only problem is you need to have found your way to this page. All right, so let's imagine I'm sorry, David, what was your group was, say, maybe intermediate? Or let's do 4, 5, 6. Okay,
mine was high advanced. They're called high advanced, but I mean they're all levels, of course.
Let's do 4, 5, 6 just to put it in the middle. So I'm gonna do this. I'll talk it out, and then I'm gonna invite you to make a couple of these. So the steps are included why and how here. I'm gonna have to go and get the link one moment, because he pops these out into separate windows, and that's great in some contexts, but not when you're trying to share information. So we got to put these links in here. This is our process. This is how we're going to score it. Hang on. Imagine scoring this so that we're going to put plausible, viable words, or plausible non-words, sorry, in here. And if they indicate a word that's a false word, they lose 2 points. They get 1 point if they circle a word that is a true word, right? So basically this is based on a recognition task. And if they just do a kind of random approach, they're going to bring their score down. But let's go ahead and take a look at what the ultimate product is going to be before I go on. This is what we're going to generate. Okay, circle each word if you know it, right? And you just go through there. Oxalate, sure, I'll circle that. Or how about opie? But Monday, I might have some more trouble with that. Mofat, pernicate. How about if we're thinking, remember, this is the first 1,000. We're talking about words where, total, think. Okay, you have to demonstrate for them. But so this is the 1, 2, 3. That's this. It doesn't generate this page, but you'll see what we get. Okay, I want 10 words from my 4K heads list. There it is, 10. And now I want 10 words from my 5K list. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to add them in. Let's see, option 2, let's see. Okay, that's right. He was keeping them separate, so I need to go ahead and do the same thing. So 4K, and then let's see. Click here. So novel from the generator. Get 25. Sorry, 25, and I'm going to remove 5. That's what it was. I was trying to remember. So I'm going to use my common sense here. What do I think is maybe not going to be part of their world experience enough so that it would be completely unfair? Maybe they never get out into nature. They don't deal with owls. Maybe rib. I'm thinking it's going to confuse them in terms of food. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I just don't like short words. Okay, I'm going to take 3 out. Let's see. Anything else? I need to get rid of 2 more. I want them to deal with syllables. So right now my organizing principle is I'm just nailing the shortest words, okay? Maybe if it was pronunciation, maybe I would have another interests, but we'll leave it there. So now I want to go add 50% plausible non-words, and you can go explore what that list is, and there's some research in how they were built. But here I go, I click my button, and there they are. Of course, it shows on my page what's the, with the little underline, right? That's not going to be on our hard copy that we generate. But there they are, Sunscribe, Litholect, Recundant. Those are great, huh? But that's it. I would copy paste into my own Word document. He has a little template. That's pretty cool. Okay, again, with the idea that you're gonna be able to generate these these activities. So that's what I'd like us to pause and do right now. And we'll come back to what happens when we link to other activities within Cobb's website. When we do go, though, we're not going to bring with us these plausible non-words, because we're going to be doing activities that are basically, knowledge rehearsal. So I'm going to stop again. I'm going to make sure you have the link. Let me go back to this page. Click, click, click. And I want you to be the judge for yourself. Think about which list you might be interested in. Again, B and C, more the British national, I think, national corpus. And then, of course, our I don't remember, sorry, Lily, exactly what POCA stands for, but it's American.
Of Contemporary American English.
Woo! Thank you so much. Expert in the room. Rand Words Kids. Why not give that a try? All right. And so let me pause. Let me put the link here. Rand. Let's find out what you make. If it was a larger group, we would do this in separate rooms, but we're not going to do that. We're not going to bother. Okay, let's find out what we get. Let me know what you learned.
Sorry, which one are we supposed to be clicking on? The random word generator, or?
Okay, let me go back into the.
It's the classic. I'll put the link.
Okay, so it is a classic. So
I'm pretty sure that's the one he picked. Yeah.
No, well, it's not the Rand Words Classic. It was the.
Sorry.
It was
You're right.
1C.
Yeah.
1C, B and C / COCA families.
Right. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Here. Oh.
okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
I've used the other one. Sorry. So that's the one I had in my head.
Oh, really? Which one have you used?
The classic.
Classic.
Because you're so classy.
She is.
So we're coming up with a list of some real words and some of the plausible non-words.
And you're gonna, yeah, exactly. And of course, you'll let students know that. Oh, Joseph is looking at the 25,000.
Yeah,
list.
I think it would be good. Like, think about, I mean, again, our intuitions are not always that great, but David, you said that they're not at the 9K level. So maybe do 8K, right?
Yeah.
Like trying to kind of figure out what you think is I+1 for them.
Yeah, I did 7K.
Yeah.
And while we're at it,
As opposed to I+25, which is what I tend to do. Oh, yeah, like Joseph's I+25 that he's got going.
Yeah. And so where was this?
So once we have this list, what did you want us to do?
Well, I want you to evaluate it. I want you to think, if I were to run this, would it be of value to me? What do you think? I mean, would it have helped you rethink your approach to that particular text? I mean, that becomes a different discussion that I would hope you would not feel, but you would still have to come up with some strategies, right? So I just wanted to show this again is where I was referring to. You're not going to know exactly, right? So you have to pilot, you have to figure it out. And this is his good guess. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. So I kind of remember there was an overlap, and then 4, 5, 6. So again, 9 was not the I was just spitballing, and I'm glad that I went back to this. And this format of 3 levels in 3 columns, I think is rather tidy. And again, this is the scoring. If 15 of 20 are correctly circled for 15 points, 2 non-words are circled for a loss of 4 points. So the score for that level is 11 out of 20 or 55%. So in other words, the learner is not strong at that level. Strong means above 85%. So this is where, again, if you buy into this, and I think it's pretty exciting, but maybe it's too formulaic. You could go and do a lot of arguing here, right? It's like, I know better, and this is just too much data. But this, I think, is still pretty exciting. One thing we haven't done yet is we haven't profiled the text. So let's jump around a bit now. I hope everyone feels confident that they could run that quiz. I want to, what was that text that you were talking about, David?
Oh, well,
Fast
the
Food
text that I
Nation.
gave my-
Yep, of
fast
course.
food.
Let's go grab an excerpt online of Fast Food Nation.
I should study that 25K list for Scrabble.
Yeah.
Okay, Why the Fries Taste Bad. It's an incredible book. And you know that Roy Koch, what's his name? The guy, the burger guy.
Oh,
Kroc.
Ed Koch. No, not Ed
Kroc,
Koch. That's the
Kroc,
mayor.
Kroc.
That's the mayor of New York
Kroc.
City. Yeah.
Something,
Kroc.
some
Ray Kroc.
Yes, he his business was there, not far from where I live in Anaheim. So I'm going to go now to, and I know, and I apologize on Tom Cobb's sake, because again, he will badmouth this site as well. You would not have any rhyme or reason until I'm kind of adjusting my screen geometry here. You would not have any rhyme or reason to go from where were we, randomosity over to vocab profile. But if you spend some time, you explore the site, you keep opening doors. That's what I really want to encourage. There's just so much cool stuff here. Some of it's not that new. But again, if you remember, this is also part archive, and he admits that. He doesn't change the site that much because he wants people who have used it in the past to be able to find the things that they used to use in the past, even though maybe they're not as busy on the site animiore. So it's a catch-22, I would imagine.
Can I ask a quick question? Just
please.
It's kind of a tribute.
No, that's okay. Well, let me just go. I'll come back to it. But this is the VP complete, and I'm going to take that text that I just grabbed, and this is our quick check. You don't have to put a title in. But look at all these buttons and things, right? I mean, if you were discouraged earlier, probably now is another time you'll feel like, what's going on with this guy? Why is he like so many flavors? But I'm going to go with BNC Coca up here. If you keep on exploring these little links, it's just amazing how much he is offering. Again, he is buried in this tiny link in the upper hand, right? Direct access to all of the lists. Okay, so if you're into this kind of stuff like I am, it's sort of like, well, thank you, but let me submit the window. And there is what I was making you wait for. This is the other half of the matching equation of learner to text and text to learner. You'll see that coverage for that passage, and it's not whole text, but let's argue it was representative. 95% coverage is obtained at about the K4 level, right?
Okay. Yeah, so then I wasn't too far over.
There you go. So I mean that if we take let's see if you will agree with Cobb here then, just for the sake of the completeness. Let's go back to his quote.
I feel so much better now. Thank you.
There you go. Well, from 95 to about 98, read for meaning with resources, read fast enough to be used for fluency building. So if you have students that you feel, maybe you test them and they demonstrate, a good handle, 85% or better at that K4 level, you want to discourage them from doing the hard work of, writing every single word in their journal and, just nailing themselves to their dictionary, right? Just come on, ease up, read a little more quickly and maybe summarize what you read at the end of the chapter, etc. Right? Does that make sense? All right, this is kind of as we move. Let me see where I am in my time, because I would like to see if there's something else. There's just so much. 12,
Just wondering whether you or Margie, if you know why he spells complete compleat.
You want to answer that, Margie?
You go ahead.
He's Canadian. I can't explain
No,
Canadians.
no, it's not. It's not.
That's Canadian English?
I don't
No.
know.
I don't know if it had to do with
Is it
getting
copyright?
getting some sort of copyright or something. I think I once asked him, because I did I was on a panel with him at
Oh, neat.
a TESOL a long time ago. Lily, do you know? Yeah, I just thought it was kind of a play on like the Beatles, but I don't know.
I was thinking maybe it had something to do with like whiskey, like
Yeah.
Pete Moss.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know, but I never say it because I don't know if I'm going to say it right. Complete. Anyway, this is something. Let's take a little more time. Let's assume that we've done a pretty good job and we have helped bind the right vocabulary size within our student with what we idealize as the text for them. Where do we find a text? In fact, that is another kind of calling that he has taken on himself. So we're going to take a look at forget what I think it's enhanced. Let's go take a look. But this is also something I'd like to show you in terms of the recycling practice that's available, and we'll also want to take a look at the multi-conc. And one thing, we're not going to take a look at this, but I will say that he has formed. Remember, I was complaining a bit about the geometry of the page. He's super sensitive to it. That's because he's trying to design as well for mobile devices. So let's go back to the website. And I just want to point out that you can also encourage student learning, independent learning, by helping students also explore whether or not they feel like the frequency, once it's made clear to them, hey, basically this is giving you a tool to always discover your priorities. Imagine they have this little tool that shows what how common or uncommon a word is. Sorry, of course I'm madly tap dancing while I'm also trying to get this website up here again. So the M, right? So next to tests, next to morpho-lex, oh, believe me, I'm not going to go there. And yes, they have some great overviews. He's got a tremendous following. You realize that. So coverage and the research, all of these things are mobile friendly. That have the M especially. But if you do want to just start exploring, here are videos. You click this button. Here are photos. His Facebook page, his stats. He even sort of shares his stats of what traffic he gets on this page, and a quick link to Google Scholar. Okay, but I want to go back over here to resource assisted learning and to hypertext. So actually, he has this very nice little walkthrough up here. How hypertext. It's about 25 minutes, but basically, you come in with HyperText 2, for example, is the newer, it's the iPad compliant. You would put in a text. He always has these little demos, by the way. If you look around, you can find tools, but I'm just going to click with what we've got right here, build. These can be clicked, and when they are clicked, you put them in this box. And when you put them in the box, you also get the dictionary open over on the side. And so again, hopefully you just keep chugging. It also allows you to hook in or to load an audio file. So you can see where that's going, right? He's wanting to provide these multiple references. So if you can get an open educational resource along with audio, you can really help students rock new texts. But speaking of new texts, again, he's got up here, I keep on acting as though this is easy to do, right? To find where things are. Book box. What the heck is the book box, right? It just so happens that he's, tried to pull together and also has had a lot of users contribute a bunch of readings. So remember, what we're looking for is text that suits what your learners, need. So he's just throwing resources at us, and it's just wonderful. And you bring them in, you profile them, you figure it out. That's our process as we do this. All right, so where was I going now? Oh, and this is another thing. This is also very appealing. You can email him. I haven't gotten my reply yet, so it's not a guaranteed thing. But you encourage folks. Here we landed on the French process here. Oh, this was mine. Facts. This was my word I just inserted. This is the public version of basically a social organizer for vocabulary. And what then I'll just point out, it's like, well, why would you do that? Why would you put it here? Because you can filter, like, let's say MS2 is, or I'm sorry, group is a class that I teach. So this is all 133 entries that, again, this is just like people coming in, putting in obscenities or whatever sometimes. But basically, here's the randomization again. Here's the quick interactive quiz, any 20 of them. Or let's check this third 10 or the first 10, right? And I want a quiz. I just want to practice. And here I've got this wonderful little, and you've seen these kinds of things. And you would put in the word, gives you a little pop-up. See, Ariel, something of the enemy position showed they were ready to attack. Information gathering in military reconnaissance. How about that? Am I right? I can check. I'm going to check. Yay, I got it right. Okay, so you just keep going. And that's something that again, if I still have my, I'll just bring this up again. You have to find your own pathways through, because a lot of it will integrate. The group Lex that we're at right now, where we're looking at shared word study, can go into a couple of other activities. If you have a language lab and you don't use this website, I don't know what you're doing, because he basically has given a huge treasure pile. I want to go to, I feel it's like, I know what it is, but how are you going to know what FON WFs is? Hard spell, dictator, ID word. This is, again, just another way to get at time on vocabulary that is also time on text, continuous text. And what I'm working my way towards is the complete multi-conc. Let's see, good on mobile, not on mobile. I want to show you quickly the dictator. Is this it? Yep, I'm just going to imagine that this is my text. Do I have any little demos? Let's just build, I think it's in there. Okay, so I would have a sentence that I can hear. Let me see if I can share it with you real quick. Share sound. Okay.
Units for dictation go here.
Okay, units. Oh, what was it? I don't remember the rest. So I check and I've got 68%. I almost started well, but you get the idea. You do this with single words, depending on what your student needs. But let's jump over to where we are at the most popular. Where is this? Multi-conc concordance. There it is, right there. Okay, we're gonna go to, multi-conc. How about I try it here? Maybe I can search for it. Oh, I know where it will be. In top games, multi-conc. This isn't dreadful. Okay, I actually had a funny list that I wanted to repeat. 1 second. You know what? I won't worry about it. Let's come up with a list. Birthday, surprise, cake, but then we'll mix in a few words like foundation and backstop and wiggle. Why not? Okay, choose your corpus. I'm fine with brown. You know, because again, I'm not I'm just kind of exploring, but you would want to think about what your interests are here. It takes some time. I'm certainly doing it myself. Now, this is the print strip version. One activity I've thought about, I haven't seen anybody think of this before, but it's like, look at this. Maybe not this. Maybe let's look at birthday or cake, right? Look at this. These are these tiny little micro views into narrative. Why not, you know, have students choose, you know, 4 or 5 of these and continue the narrative, right? I mean, figure out what the context was for that has been removed. Make it into a writing exercise. This is also then a automatable interactive. So that was the plain printable mode. This is the interactive. And here we are. This is kind of the dream, as I understand it, of data-driven learning. And I don't think Cobb came up with it. This is a small screen, and I just want 7 lines. And you choose your dictionary. It can be bilingual. But here's my vocabulary: birthday cake. I didn't put Margie. Surprise, wiggle. But let's just understand that again, the idea is of the data-driven approach is that our students, because they are encountering words in new contexts, they are picking up more that will help that vocabulary stay. And you know, it's debatable, but people research it. You would drop here your choice for his something because Richard had seen Eve of his 53rd. Okay, but why did I know that, right? Why did I know that once I got a number or an age right before this missing word? See, that's what's interesting, and you have to question. It's like, well, students, are they going to know that? And so on. Okay, I think I would transition at this point. So almost where I wanted to be in terms of my timeline. Let me just do one more quick check so I don't miss anything. This is what I was going to make as our scenario. So let me just share that as well. All of this kind of is, all of that I've shared so far, you know, reveals that I've spent a lot of time on this website. Not enough time, actually. I feel like I would be much more able to be a worthy guide if I had spent even more time. But time is precious, right? So we want to know, how do we save time? Occasionally, when we've got responsibilities like planning a lesson, we don't have time. So this is a challenge. I'm in a hurry, and I want to do something that is current events. Maybe it has to do with the war in Ukraine. I feel like it's absolutely necessary to bring that in somehow, to try and reveal, you know, what is the mechanism of, you know, authoritarianism? What's the psychology there? Can we make sense? What is it? What would be our response in a society where propaganda is completely, you know, dominant? You know, how to move those conversations, those important conversations, whatever they are, immediately into our teaching context, trying to use a frequency approach, if I can use that label, which I've come across, but I haven't really thought of it quite as neatly as Cobb's sort of vision here. So if we could, let's take a few moments. We're not going to do the breakout. You know, I had initially, as you can tell, my initial thought was to have a Google Doc, but go ahead. What tools or content libraries do you already rely on? And let me know in the chat, or let one another know in the chat. You know, imagine yourself as, you know, just burning to push an article. You're not sure, what do you do? We've already talked about the approach through Cobb, but what else might you do? And, you know, maybe it's a little challenging. So what do you do? Okay. And just wondering if I'm off track or out of alignment with the chat here. I see that there's some other things going on, which is wonderful. I like Back Channel, and it also reminds me that, you know, I'm in a room, a virtual room with people. So please let me know if this makes sense, or if you have any immediate questions, or if I'm even heard. I don't even know if I.
So Vincent, sorry, what was your question? You were asking us to
Yeah, no, great. Thank you so much for letting me know I'm here. Yes. So what do you do
you exist.
about tomorrow's discussion, and you want to include a current news article? Is there a content library that you or your colleagues have invested in? Or are there other tools aside from Lextutor that you have used? Anybody? And yeah, I guess it doesn't have to be in the chat.
Well, for content libraries, I'm going to use, it depends on the class that I'm teaching.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely going to use, like I get updates. So when I'm teaching teaching a research class on healthcare access and diversity, I get and I ask the students to get updates from various various blogs or just news generating sources, right? So we'll get these daily updates or weekly updates on things that are happening in kind of medicine, and especially social medicine. So that's probably what I would use. But it is important that I then go look at that text in the vocabulary profiler to see, maybe I want to teach it anyway, even if it's a little bit on the hard side. We do have some background in the topic. So depending on when we are in the term. So, the slightly harder text may be okay if we've been following a story. And I think David was talking about that a little bit, where it kind of depends on where you are in your class, right?
Yeah.
But I would still, the great thing about that vocabulary profile is you can throw it in there and see, okay, like what are the words that are probably going to trip them up?
Yep.
What are the words we've already talked about, because they're words that have come up in other texts? What words do I think are going to be most useful for them for whatever the paper is or research project or presentation that they're going to give? I mean, if we're talking a lot about changes, then I'm going to focus on vocabulary that might help them talk about changes. So those are some of the guiding principles.
Love it, love it. So one thing that I picked up on that I feel I have to remind myself about is the your interest in making sure that you do diligence and you are putting some time into as rushed as you might feel. You're putting time into looking at the appropriacy of a text for the situation. Makes sense to me. Anyone else?
Well, so I'm pretty familiar with this tool, but actually, when I look for articles for my students, I make a judgment, like a ballpark judgment. I haven't been using the profiler, but I think I will now, because I think that's really interesting. And also, which it seems really obvious now, but the off list words that pop up in the profiler, those would be great to pull out and maybe do a little glossary or something, or have students like actually do special activities based on those off list words, which are much less likely, that they'll much less likely know. And then what Margie was saying, focusing on those words that are probably going to be more useful across the disciplines and in other classes. That's a great idea. The class that I'm teaching right now, because I'm actually using Focus on Vocabulary, but Schmidt and Schmidt, and they've already got all those articles in there. It's the advanced, it's the Focus on Vocabulary 3, I think. So it's advanced. And so they've already chosen those articles. I want to give the students opportunity to get through as much of that book as possible, because there's so many great activities in it to recycle the vocabulary and look at it different ways. But one of the things that I look for in an article, if I'm just trying to pick one up off on the fly because of some amazing, important thing that's happening, is length of the article, because I've already got a pretty heavy workload, not just in my class, but all other classes. So I got to keep it manageable. And I find that obviously the more constraints I have, the harder it is to find the appropriate article. So then it actually ends up taking me longer to find something on the fly than if I have like some kind of technique like this, like using the vocab profiler or something.
Yes. Anyone else? Look, that's just, I mean, so what I hear you saying is it's like, hey, this technology is even more useful than I already knew. So I'm really happy to hear that, because that, I would say, would definitely be my outcome success with this workshop. I just feel really good if that's what you all are encouraged to sort of like weather Lextutor. If I may, I'll have 2 more things to share since we have 10 more minutes. This is from the Oxford 3000. Or 5,000, I forget. It's a guide. I'll show you the link as well. But it's I think quite nice. They use the Common European Framework for vocabulary, so they don't do the K1, K2. They're using this A1, A2, B1, B2, etc. So just understand their color coding is different. But in terms of what you all were talking about, I was thinking about how I would have presented this. I just felt like it would be relevant. It could be relevant in teacher training, honestly. I would have loved somebody to have sat me down with this kind of approach and thought, it's like, well, if you're going to adapt this text, what is your way forward? So, you would think about things that might or might not need to be reworded or pulled out specially. So this is, again, in this using the Oxford Learners word lists. I'm going to just sort of scroll back a bit. Again, these sort of decision points. Do you cut the word that's not going to, derail the conversation, because it's off list, but maybe it's too much to have to sweat, and so on. I just want to show you the cover here of this document. It's pretty interesting. Okay, so this is the Oxford 3000, the most important. The reason that this is the most important for them, anyhow, is because it allows them to create a defining vocabulary that is used in the, again, I'll find the link for you, but this is, again, the title. Okay, last thing. Go ahead, question.
Yeah, I just have a question I just want to throw out there for everybody.
Please. Yeah.
So in my reading and vocabulary class, I don't know what classes they're going to go on to after my class. It's so they have to go through the ESL sequence, and then they go off into all kinds of different fields, or none. Maybe they're all pairs that are just taking this class because they're here. So my goal actually is to give them more mastery in acquiring new vocabulary and understanding new vocabulary that they come across in a text. So not just guessing through context, but also through their knowledge of word forms. So one of the things that I do, like the quizzes I give, are not to test whether they have learned specific words, but whether they are actually able to use the words that they have access to correctly. So I'm actually focusing on, I'm having them just take a very short list of words that they choose from the chapters that we studied, the target vocabulary that we studied, and I asked them to use 2 or 3 forms of the same word. So choose a list of 10 words. For each of those words, they have to use 2 or 3 forms in their own composition. It could be a dialogue, it could be a story, it could be an article, whatever it is. Because I feel like, from what I've noticed, the students feel a lot more confident about encountering new vocabulary if they actually have to think about how those words work in a sentence and what context they work. And that includes things like collocations and usage, like when is that word actually appropriate. So I just wanted to throw it out there, like to everybody, like how do you approach your goals in teaching vocabulary? Are you trying to teach a specific list of words, or are you trying to focus more on, acquisition strategies?
If I may just ask us to put a pin in that, since we're actually running out of time. Isn't that right, Marty? We're coming up against the
We are.
12:30.
We are. I think we can go a few minutes over to answer
Good.
David's question, but you go ahead
Absolutely.
and finish what you wanted to. And that's an excellent question, David, that we should get back to, and then we should
Yes.
run a whole session on it.
Yeah, I agree. I
Seriously.
mean, basically it's follow through, and it's the travails of, vocabulary instruction, because
Anyone
every
want
time,
to do a panel at Catisel?
Sure.
yeah, sign
All
me
right.
up.
No,
Okay.
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, you introduced a question that I mentioned, I think a lot about too, and it goes again to what I'm trying to do is take that risk that the I+2 is not really I+2, that in fact, it can be made comprehensible in a social, emotional context. But before I depart for that, corpus grammar, it came up earlier, and I was just going to mention it's right here. Please do explore it. It's really interesting. He's going to home, right? So you would check the concordance lines, and you would notice, you would have your learner notice that you don't need this particle, and you can come over here and edit, and etc. And so there's quite a lot here in terms of a grammar utilization.
So
I'm just following
Vincent,
up with Concord writer.
I just
I
wanted
was-
to ask a quick question there for
Yes,
that one.
please.
Students can put their own sentences in there.
I have
Or do you
only
have to-
the
how does-
implementation.
Mhm.
There are these sets here, conditionals, etc.
Mhm.
Right. So I think that it is use that as a trainer for your own process of figuring it out, basically.
Okay.
But it's a good starting place if this is the level that you're working at. Mark.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. And then this is just something I was going to throw out again in terms of what the writer, could maybe use this as a sort of active concordance reference.
Mhm.
So start writing here what you wish to say in this text. And they even have these wonderful little demos. So what do you mean? What is this exactly about? A writer wants his sentence end with achievement, but cannot remember if achieve keeps its E when meant is added. The solution: the writer chooses any sizable corpus, sets the search type to starts, double clicks achieve, right? So, I mean, this is a sophisticated student. If we're getting them to work with it at this level, that's cool. But here, look, it even does word, multi-word. A writer describing a favorite teacher as one of the best, but does not know if the next word is teacher or teachers. It seems a little contrived, but you see that he really is interested in that many more possibilities of using concordance lines in particular, and making them available. Like Marcia Chan here is maybe there or not there, but I'll just brag on saying it's like, wow, she showed me that she dove into the use of all those concordance lines for pulling in examples for pronunciation students. And I just think that's really cool. And
Not
since we do,
pronunciation. No, it was for vocabulary.
got it.
K1,
So-
K2. I was looking for something at the lower level because a lot of stuff was coming out at the time about AWL words, and I was saying, well, let's get the basics first.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how do we help them out with that? That's what I did.
Well, and I know another approach would be to use something that, again, would allow you to look for particular segmentals, and maybe consonant clusters that are irksome. All right, that would be another approach. Okay, look, I've got to get to HyperEnglish just because it's in the title of my workshop. So I'm going to take 2 minutes, and here it is. I'm going to basically read this slide, and this is a pitch for anyone who is interested in learning more, and I'll show you really quickly. But in several areas, this tool that I'm working on is in progress, and I'm using hybrid lists that I developed without really having dived even deeper than I have, which is not deep at all, into understanding the improvements in lists over even this past decade. But I do have an intake site to share with you. I also have a website that is available for support and documentation. The thing is, what I can show you right now, and that you can go to, I'm going to click on it and go to it now. I really enjoy it. Students really enjoy it. I haven't done any research, but it is very dynamic. And I keep on saying social and emotional, but what does that mean? Let me try and explain what it means. If I do have that text still in my buffer. No, I don't. Actually, here, let me see if I can go grab my friend's this is the main window. There we go. Idaho industry, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I've got, this is my quick demo assignment. Sharing at the end. I see my participants list somewhere. Where is my participants list? Okay, my participants include Margie, Amber, Diana, Joseph, Lily, Marsha. Who else?
Oh.
Okay. And just for the sake of it, I'm going to assume we're a pretty advanced bunch of eggs. I'm going to turn off those earlier functional levels. I'm going to turn off this, basic content. I'm going to leave on more of a cultural reference vocabulary. And I'll explain that these are not the same K levels that we were talking about earlier. I have a much simpler model. It's the classic nation general service list, academic word list, but I brought the Oxford 3000 into it over time. I was just really kind of excited, but I can't say I was doing it in a very principled way. I've clicked the button. It does take a second. So once again, I'm sort of soft shoeing, but here we go. The team, right? All of us now, we know how many unique words are available in the text of that passage. We have 7 students, so just randomly assigned even number of words has been distributed to us. The teacher has this alphabetized list, which has our names, so that, for example, if we're doing a textbook activity and this was assigned as homework that we need to go and work on our assigned words, then the teacher is going to call me because, I didn't include myself. I guess I'm the teacher. But, if Margie is the teacher, or if Margie has the word military that she was supposed to understand for next time, this L3 academic word list word for whatever reason, she would be the one I would call on. But there it is. This is the thing that I messed up. I didn't do a little more diligence in cleaning, but this is a jigsaw, learning activity. And depending on how you get students to use this is the rub, right? So one of the ways that I use it in an online context is that I create, if you saw those unique ID numbers, there's also the ability to pad so that remains a consistent reference throughout the whole term, and you use that for ensuring that they can do word citation. And I'm going to just jump over real quick because we're almost out of time, and I did want to just share this because it's an opportunity, and I want to invite anyone who would be interested to join me in doing some more alpha testing. This is the space, okay? This is the tool you just saw. This is the intake that's going to get integrated into the space. Let's see, which one's this? This is the current class that I'm teaching right now. It's an advanced class. It's Cerritos College. Every one of these words has an annotation that has been added. And each one of these annotations occurs in context. So that, let me turn these colors off for now. You can pull up, here you can see that so-and-so has been assigned this word. So this is in context as well. This is an assigned text. And also if I wanted to explore what, these frequencies, how these frequencies appear, there's a kind of reverse close. I'm trying to encourage a sense of highlighting, but students then are annotating, following whatever it is. So comedies, this is a content noun dictionary. They provide a sentence, for example. If they choose one unique place within the text where they provide that context, So romantic appears down here from Andrea. You can go and look at the other students' work and explore it that way. And you can also edit annotations. It's kind of got a old school feel here, but that's it. I would be glad to work with anybody who would like to do a little more testing of that with me. And with that, if there's more time for any discussion, I'd love to stay and hang out. But again, thank you to you, Margie.
Thank you. I'm able to stick around for a little bit. I'm going to stop the recording in just a second, but if people want to stay on and ask questions, I want to thank Vincent for showing us a bazillion things that we can do. The complete lexical tutor is complete, so there is a lot to play around with. Hope that your appetites got wet, as Vincent said, and you'll have some time to play around. You can always come to the Corpus Corner. That's April 29th from 12 to 1. If you have questions, you want to play around a little bit more with things, you want to talk to people and about ways in which they've used the lexical tutor or other tools. And also, David, your question about vocabulary use and teaching that, and how to, not just vocabulary use, but how to approach your whole thinking about the sequencing of how you're going to talk about vocabulary in your class, moving from meaning to use. That's another thing we could talk about at the Corpus Corner. We can also talk about putting something together for CTEL, the fall state conference. And yeah, if people are interested in working with Vincent on HyperEnglish, it's a great tool that he's just been putting together. I think it's really cool. And if we can support him, that's great. Also remember, on the 20th of May, we'll be doing our last in this 3-part series. We'll be looking at ANCONC, which will show you how you can take course texts or other texts and put them together to create a corpus of your own, with your own texts, course texts, student texts, etc. Okay, so thank you all. Don't forget also that we are having a spring conference for CTEL, and that is on April 23rd and April 30th, 2 Saturdays. Nicole Brunmusser and I will be talking about how to create glossaries for your class. And that's co-hosted by the CIRT and Materials Writers IGs. And then also submissions for the fall conference are now is now open as well. So please check out the CTEL.org page for information on all of these events. And thank you, Marcia, for keeping all of that up to date. So thanks everybody for coming. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I'm going to stop the recording and y'all can hang out for a bit and chat if you'd like to, as you wish.